Take it away, commentators.
Okay, everybody ready? 3, 2, 1, go. Okay, so this is Super Mario World, No Cape, No Star World. And our runners here, we have Sten, who is a world record holder, or a former record holder in multiple categories, including all castles in '96 in Super Mario World. We have BJW, who told me he plays a lot of anime games, but he's also second place and the former world record holder for SMB2 all levels. We have Silver Star, who is a world record holder in multiple Super Mario World categories, including all of the 11 exit no cape categories. And Calco, who probably needs no introduction. Calco is the world record holder in pretty much every category not involving cape, except for the ones that Silver Star has. So we have 4 very talented runners for this category. So in Super Mario World, I think anyone who's played this game, or at least watched speedruns of it, can attest that the cape is perhaps one of the most overpowered power-ups in the entire Mario series. And so this category is one of the categories that was made to sort of force runners to avoid that power-up. So you're going to see some very intense, pure Mario platforming in these runs.
Yeah, I think the cape tends to get... I think a lot of people view it as being this really overpowered tool, and in a lot of ways it is. It opens the door to a lot of techniques and strategies that really are very specific to Super Mario World in general. There's nothing like it in the rest of the Mario series, but one of the really nice things about Super Mario World is that most of these levels end up changing significantly when you take away the cape. So even though the strategies involving cape are incredibly challenging, incredibly interesting, taking away the cape as well produces something that's completely different. A lot of times you'll find that runners that excel on one side don't necessarily find the ability to translate that over, and that goes really in both directions.
So I'd just like to point out that Calco just got a shell jump, which is a very precise trick of effectively getting a second jump off of the shell. And in that particular stage, it saves about a quarter second. So you might notice that he's very slightly ahead. All of these runners' World 1s are going to look almost exactly the same, which is why we've been yapping through the entire world.
You may have been asking yourself, why did they go so long without grabbing a power-up? It was actually mostly just for the very first jump of this castle. A lot of people watching speedruns of this ask, well, why don't you just run through the midway tapes? They don't cost you any time, and you can have a safety hit. The reason is the very first jump in Iggy's castle is significantly easier without a power-up. And since we're in an auto-scroller now, it might benefit us to introduce ourselves really quickly. So.
Sure. So I'm Meisterbrow.
I'm Dr. Cool.
And I'm Author Blues.
And beside the house, we have beside the couch, we have Resifos and Seathorn.
Pretty much as expected, all of the runners are in lockstep right now, and we're going to have our first castle cutscene, so this might be a good chance for a quick donation.
All right, we have $25 from CT Conquer. Hey everybody, CT here. So happy to see SMW keep such a strong presence at GDQ year after year. Good luck to all the runners, and shout-outs to shout-outs. Donation goes to winner's choice. Though let's be honest, it'll probably be for Yavi.
Yeah, so speaking of Yabi, in this next stage, Donut Plains 1, we're going to see Yabi for the first time. And as you all know, Yabi is Yoshi's father. And they are both horses, just like the horse in Breath of the Wild.
You can actually best identify that he is a horse because he lays eggs.
That's true. The eggs don't lie. So everyone's going to grab, again, a Yabi here, and that's just for one jump. We have to get the secret exit in this stage. So here we go. See you, Yoshi. Yabi. So if a lot of you have seen cape categories, there's a pipe that leads to a sub-level in this stage that we use to grab a shell to swim faster through the second half. But since we don't have a cape, we cannot jump high enough to grab that shell, so the runners will not be using that sub-level.
It's actually a common misconception. People who watch this run think that it's actually just the fact that it's faster to go through that room, but with the added pipe transitions, it's actually quite a bit slower. The shell makes up that difference in the long run, and that's why they end up skipping it in this category.
All right, and so the goal time for this stage is a 42, which is kind of a tight window. So let's see if any of our runners can achieve that.
And when we say when we're gonna reference a lot of numbers during the run, and we're referencing the game timer. Usually we just point out the last 2 digits because the hundreds place is kind of obvious. So when we say 42, we mean a 242 left on the timer.
So this ghost house is interesting because there's a bit of a skip. So if anybody remembers playing this game as a kid, the casual way is you have to do a little tricky thing in the second room, but it turns out that the door to exit is already there. All we need to do is climb up to find it.
They're referenced as Boo Buddies in the credits for a reason.
The camera wasn't giving BJW, or really either of the other guys, a good time. But you can actually unlock that camera by getting P-speed and jumping.
So this, in my opinion, is one of the most exciting no cape levels. So I'll just shut up and let you guys watch.
These strats are incredibly challenging, especially in a marathon. But as we say in the SMW community, fortune favors the bold.
And it looks like all 4 of them got
Beautiful.
that.
Wow.
That tricky jump. I think now would be a good time to explain how Mario's movement works in this game. So it might look like when you're just running through the level, Mario has a consistent speed, but he actually doesn't. His speed varies between 3 different values very rapidly, and so it's not actually easy to come up with very consistent strats, especially when they're very precise, like in Donut Plains 3. So the fireball strat that you just saw was a way to avoid the randomness of Mario's jump heights. There are strats that involve no fire flower, which lead to random jumps where you try to get up on top of the clouds, or the sky teeth, as we call them. But using the fire flower and the left scroll to spawn the platform on the line guide at a different time makes it non-trivial to get across that giant gap.
So everyone grabbed their Yabi horses in this stage for just 1 jump, actually, 3 stages from now. So we're nearing the second castle here, and you'll notice that the vertical room, which is the 3rd room, is just it's a very precise vertical climb, and especially for newer runners, the cycle skip that they're going to no doubt achieve is quite difficult. And a very fast time would be a 3:38 red door at the top of this tower.
We see that Silver Star has a fire flower in reserve, as well as Mario's fire power-up. The reason to keep the fire flower power-up is to take out the bosses as quickly as possible. Both Morton, Ludwig, and Roy will take 2 fireballs and a stomp to kill, and if they don't have that fire flower to take them out, it does lose a quite significant amount of time.
So you may have just seen these runners are killing the boss of Castle 2 with 2 quick fireballs and jump on his head. A lot of people think that you have to jump on him 3 times, but due to a little bit of complicated details, those first 2 fireballs actually count the equivalent of jumps. So 2 quick fireballs and a jump on their head, and the boss becomes completely trivial. Now would be a great time for a donation.
And oh my goodness, do we have a donation? We have a $13,000 donation.
Yeah.
BK donates $13,000 saying, Yabi is Yoshi's dad. Yabi, like Yoshi, is a horse. The Zelda horse will be named Yabi. Thank you, BK.
Thank you so much for doing the right thing. So as mentioned, the Yabi that we've been holding on to is specifically for a jump coming up in this stage right here that you see Calco on right now.
And as I said earlier about these vertical climbs in this category are, I think, the most impressive thing. It's actually really hard to control the way the camera is scrolling up.
If you feel bad for that Yabi, don't. They're
Silver Star.
immortal, and he will live here forever. We'll find more in the future, and we will also leave them irresponsibly in other places.
But at least this one wasn't thrown in a pit.
We'll get to it.
So while we're on the topic of Yabi, we're going to grab another one in this stage. And
Don't get attached.
but we're going to actually keep this one for a while. So you may become a little bit more attached to this one than some of the others. The reason why is because there's a stage coming up that is incredibly difficult without Yoshi, and really the only Really, the only disadvantage is the pipe transitions are actually longer while you're riding Yoshi. So you can save about 1.5 seconds in this world by not grabbing Yoshi, just due to the pipe transition. Yabi. Excuse me. But it is so much safer to do so, in fact, that this very optimized category has never had a world record without Yoshi on this over.
Yabi.
Just everyone in the audience help him.
Please.
Oh, by the way, in the Japanese version, Yabi can eat the dolphins. That was changed for reasons.
Yabi food. And Silver Star actually came up with a new strat for this level that doesn't involve a left-right. And it's not very difficult, and it saves some frames. So you'll notice he finished the stage with a 61 on the timer. All right, at the end of this stage, we're going to see our first Reznor, which is on my shirt.
Take a quick look at these runners as they enter the pipe into Vanilla Dome. It's actually because of the fact that they are riding Yabi that they enter the pipe in what looks like a very strange way in the first room. It doesn't matter a whole lot, but it's kind of interesting to note. They fall down much further than you usually fall down in a pipe.
Right.
Even though Yabi's not allowed in the castle, the game still treats it as Yabi coming out of the pipe. So
The game
Mario
tricks
goes
itself.
The game does not trick itself. The game is not a person.
Hold on. I'll do one for the drinking game. The game gets confused.
There we go.
Bingo. So you'll notice Calco is a few seconds in the lead here, and so on his screen we're leading up to the Reznor fight, which on the Japanese cart they are called Bui Bui, and he has a very good quick kill.
Very nice.
And that's that.
Very nice fight from Silver Star as well.
Yeah, that fight can be incredibly technical and challenging, especially for new runners. Your instinct is sort of just to wait it out, but once you get the hang of the quicker method of killing.
Oh, Stan got a little bit of an aggressive one, but got through it just fine.
So this is Butterbridge 1. It's probably the most technical, important level of the game. So
Also the best design.
for the next 2.5 minutes, this is probably a good time for donations.
We have a lot here. We have a $4,250 donation from Smoke. Says, everyone's lives have been touched by cancer in some way, so we banded together to support a worthwhile cause. Here's to further developing a cure and making lives both present and future better. From all of us in the Smokes to everyone who's been affected by cancer, let's keep fighting the good fight. Also have some community love here. $25 from Brams, who says, I'm rooting for Silver to break the top left guy curse once and for all.
Poor Silver.
$20 from Truman175. So glad to see 4 great SMW runners running the game at GDQ for the first time in this hype race. This donation goes towards naming the Breath of the Wild horse after our favorite horse in the world, Yabi. $200 from XanderWeb479. I've got family currently being treated for cancer, and it's things like this that help them get the help they need. Great runs for a great cause. Of course, we need to name the horse Yabi. Oh, and Team Sten. We have $30 from Cujo228. Hey dudes, good luck, have fun. Firefly Mario looking out his window. $50 from Mr. Shasta, finally getting around to donating. I think I promised to donate $20 during my run earlier in the event, but what I really, really need that Breath of the Wild oil canvas painting. Best of luck to all the SMW runners, and especially my boy, Sten. No matter what happens, I'm ready for an exciting race, and I hope everyone else is too.
Okay, so as we're coming out of this auto-scroller, this was the stage I was talking about that is extremely hard without Yoshi.
Yabby.
So, I'm sorry.
Thanks, guys.
So, despite the fact that the cape is banned, in this particular category, flight is not. And when Yabi grabs a blue shell, we get wings.
SMW runners just can't keep themselves from cheating.
However, did you know, Oth, that there is a fabulous new category called 95 exit no flight, which bans any sort of flight?
Any leaderboard that needs that many categories, I don't know.
Just for the record, the Super Mario World Extended Categories leaderboard has at least, I'd say, 40 categories on it.
Okay, so watch Calco's screen. He's going to do a fast strat here with a quick scroll. Oh, just bunked.
He got hung up for just a second, but he was trying to get there to that dry spiny before he transformed.
And this room involves a lot of intricate jumps underneath Potobos.
Yeah, it may look fairly straightforward, but the height management underneath these Potobos, especially the first one, is incredibly technical. You have to jump from a pretty far distance away and then control your height using the jump button after you've already released it.
Yeah, the tap repress is a technique that any new runners need to become comfortable with very quickly. Oof.
Yeah, with Silver Star not having a flower in Ludwig fight, the Ludwig fight is actually the longest boss fight to not have the fire flower for. As you can see, he's rolling around on the floor now.
Fortunately, he's doing the easy setup for the cycle skip, which he just seemed to have gotten. Typically, we would have seen him have to go through a whole extra cycle there, but because he hit Ludwig while he was still in the air, it didn't count as one of the cycles, and so once he landed, he could hit him for the third time, which was perfect. This is the longest of them all, so go nuts.
So we do have some love from a neighboring 2D Mario community, $250 from JP Nance. Holding up my end of the 5-4 skip Yoshi's Island bargain, plus a little extra. Good luck to Calco and the rest of the runners in what should be an amazing race. $25 from Abby119 to P Jelly and all the rest of my dudes, Dots, Steven, Truman, Brams, Rezi, Dan, Chris, etc.
So in this stage, you'll notice that the runners are going to pick up an additional fire flower unless they already have one in reserve, and that's because we're going to do a damage boost in Castle 5.
That grab is incredibly technical, but not that hard to learn, but also super fun to watch.
And also very quickly...
Is he going for it?
My dude. He was attempting to duplicate a block for wings, and it was going to be a beautiful experience for us all.
I think it still was.
I loved it.
Getting that trick without cape is insanely hard, and I'm pretty sure nobody actually goes for it in RTAs yet.
Till now.
Until now.
Calco never says die.
Okay, Dots, why don't you explain Yoshi clips real quickly for
Yabi
us?
clips.
Sorry, take a break, bud.
All right, in Forest of Illusion 2, which is a water stage, it is very long and very laggy. So instead, we decided to use our friend Yabi to just clip through the wall. And first try, with a good setup, getting a first try clip is a 75% chance.
Now, as you'll see, Silver Star got, well, we call it RNG'd out. It's not actually RNG.
And from this sample set, we got exactly a 75% chance.
Yeah, nice. Perfect.
I mean, more accurately, we would describe it as luck, but in reality, Silver Star didn't do anything wrong. You really are just subject to sub-pixel oscillation that you really have no way to control and no way to know what's going to happen. So.
Essentially, the setup works on 3 out of every 4 frames, and a runner in real time has no real way to guess which frame we're on. So in this next stage at the very beginning, there's a tall pipe with a spring right before it. Usually runners will simply jump on the spring, but I believe most of our runners are going to go for a wall jump here.
Yeah,
And if they-
since the wall jump is right at the beginning of the level, everybody, Mario starts with the same sub-pixel value, which sets up the wall jump perfectly, so it's actually easier than any other wall jump.
Oh, Sten hit the pixel.
BJW went straight for the springboard, which is, I mean, if you don't think that you're going to get the wall jump consistently,
Yeah,
it's definitely faster.
And to be fair, it also, if you do get the pipe jump, it can add some temperamental bubble patterns later in the level that can actually lose time.
Yeah, you'll see some of the runners decided to carry the red shell through the level just in case they do run into a bubble. If you run into a bubble while you're over a pit, you're basically just going to fall in.
It's crucial that he saves that power-up right there. Otherwise, he's going to have a heck of a time.
Yeah, there is a way to clip in there, but you need to bring a Goomba into the pipe.
So this castle with a cape can become somewhat, I won't say trivial, but it does become quite a bit easier to fly through it. They're going to have to ride the block snake, but we are going to still get to experience some really nice skips coming up pretty soon. So keep an eye on Calco's side for now and all the runners to follow.
The first thing he's going to do is scroll his screen to the right so that when he drops an item, he can run with P-speed and grab that, and you'll see why.
So he grabs it immediately and then
Iframes.
jumps as soon as they run out. That was perfect execution.
We'll see if Sten and BJW can get the same.
Yeah, and Silver, because he doesn't have an item in reserve, he has to set it up a bit differently. But that actually, the Fire Flower only actually saves about 4 seconds on this boss fight, so it's certainly not a run killer.
It can actually be quite difficult to pull that off anyway.
The timing on dropping the power-up is pretty tight, and it's also really difficult to press the select button while you're running and everything, so getting the trick is not super easy.
Yeah, I don't know if you've ever held a SNES controller, but holding down 3 or 4 buttons at once and then pressing select with whatever hand's left is a challenge.
This would be a good time for a donation. We're at another castle cutscene.
All right, thank you. We have $200 from Half Coordinated. Video games are good. Speedrunning's good. Charity's good. Thank you for all the good. I love the speedrunning community, and I'm proud to be a part of it. Also, $45 from Tina Hacks 14. 3 first try clips, $45 to Runner's Choice. Shoutouts to our favorite horse, Yabi.
Thank you for supporting our good boy.
All right, Chocolate Island 1 is a pretty straightforward level. It includes a lot of platforming skills, not much the way of glitches or anything.
Yeah, it's actually unfortunate because this is the exact opposite of some of the stages we've talked about before, where it's actually quite difficult to learn and difficult to get good at, and yet it doesn't look that impressive to see done.
So you'll notice that BJW and Silver Star also picked up a mushroom in this stage, and that's used for a D-boost near the end of this ghost house that Sten is entering and Calco is currently in.
Yeah, neither of them have a backup power-up currently, and so they'll be exiting this stage.
So you'll notice that that Calco was able to keep. So in this game, when you run off of ledges, you actually lose your P-speed. YOLO door. When you run off of ledges, the game kills your P-speed. So you would like to jump off before every ledge as much as possible, but this Fish and Boo tends to make things a little bit interesting. And Silver Star has spent a lot of time in this level based on one of the 4 patterns that he can spawn in. Silver Star can recognize that and know which stairs to run down to get to that door as fast as possible.
It may not look impressive, but I do just want to point out that running full speed and opening a door is a 3-frame window, and if any of those runners had missed it, they would have ran right into a pit.
This room that you'll see on Calco's screen is a little bit difficult because some of these Koopa bounces are blind. Also in this game, we mentioned the tap repress. If Mario is ever falling, if you hold the jump button, he's actually falling less quickly than if you let it go, and that allows runners to control where they land only by repressing the jump button, as opposed to having to do left rights, which would obviously lose time.
So Calco right now is entering an incredibly challenging stage, mostly because of the football chucks. They are awful.
So he did a little left-right there so that he doesn't have to rely on... are the footballs actually RNG?
No, they're not. The footballs that the Chucks throw are based off of the global timer. So depending on when exactly you enter the level, the footballs will spawn at a different time. And
So RNG.
basically, luck-based. Ooh. And that's what we were just talking about, football right in the face.
But you can save 2. So the world record all but requires that. And, you know, I'm not sure of the exact percentage, but I would say you can get through that room a little more than 50% of the time. But again, it's required, or all but required for the world record. So, and this category is so optimized. There are several tricks that are, you know, only a bit above 50%. Several of them are actually exactly 60%. And you need most of them to challenge Calco's world record.
All you got to do to be good at Super Mario World is major in statistics.
It's worth pointing out that this last yellow platform in the last room of Chocolate Secret is infamous for eating Mario's jump, and so the runners have developed strategies to prevent, or not exactly prevent it, but make sure they don't die in case they do get that eat and jump.
So, okay, so Calco's a madman.
But Sten did damageless crusher skip, as we say, so he's going to get the same cycle, actually, as Calco did. That was a beautiful castle.
Going under that saw blade without a power-up is just...
It's crazy.
And also notice that Calco did not get the midway in this stage, which is scary for that reason, for example. But it also means he's going to be swimming through some boo rings in the next stage, which is going to look very terrifying because it is very terrifying. I think now would be a good time for a couple of donations, Sky.
All right, sounds good. We have a $150 donation from Anonymous. Looking forward to watching TASBot dominate the Mushroom Kingdom. Next stop, the world. TASBot 2020. $500 from Rage. Excited for the Mario block. Good luck to all the runners. Pooh, I am aghast at your callousness. This donation goes to saving the Yoshis.
All right, so Calco is entering the Sunken Ghost ship, and you'll see, even though there is a mushroom right here at the beginning of the level, he's just going to go right past it, because it is much easier to swim through the boo rings as small.
Even though it's not easy to swim through the boo rings at all.
And the cost of failure is death.
Yeah.
And about 45 seconds.
Yeah, Sten already had a mushroom from Wendy's Castle, and so he's going to be able to deboost through at least one of them.
And there's also, if you notice on Sten's screen really quickly, he's going to pause for a second right there. And that little left-right sets up the boo cloud so that he will despawn the first ring. And all you had to do is a little left-right.
Yeah, so you're going to see
here,
this.
Calco's going to swim through the boos.
Very nice.
So you'll notice on Sten's side, he's not actually even going to see the first boo ring, so...
Silver Star is also going to attempt the same strat. So we'll get to see that again.
You'll notice that Calco actually avoided the star at the beginning of this room. Grabbing the star spawns a bunch of sparklies around Mario because he's invincible, and actually causes this room to lag quite a bit. So by avoiding the star and moving Mario around optimally, you can save a few lag frames.
Orb. So BJW and Silver Star are both, they both kept the star, obviously, but they're doing some lag reduction strats by being choosy about which exact enemies to kill.
Skipping the star entirely does save, what is it, something like 20 frames of lag?
About that much.
Orb.
Keeping P-Speed through this stage, Valley of Bowser 1, is very difficult as small Mario. Both Calco and Sten went through flawlessly. Okay, so Calco is entering the stage that many SMW runners have lost runs to. There's a clip in the second room that has a 2-frame window. The ground is moving, Mario is moving, and so it's hard to find a good visual cue. But it does save 13 seconds if you get it.
I have reason to believe he's going to go for it.
I think he
course.
just might.
Yo!
Wait, not yet.
Now he's.
Okay, now he's in.
Sometimes you don't want to celebrate too early because it is kind of tricky to get in there.
That's called the Louis clip.
That second clip is actually really free. Anybody can just go in there. All you have to do is make sure Mario's rubbed against the left wall.
And it doesn't save any time.
And it doesn't. Silver Star having some trouble getting up the first yellow block, but oof.
Yeah, it's hard. It's hard to. Yeah, when those
Okay, so
platforms
that
are in unexpected places, it can be very difficult.
That
to
jump
recover.
Calco just did, he didn't wait for the sandbar to rise. That's a 6-tile jump, which is, it's specific to one of Mario's speeds.
Yeah, there's only a 60% chance if you do all the inputs correctly that you'll get that. And it saves about 3.5 seconds. And Calco now in the fort. This is just a very entertaining stage, and it's also terrifying. So all these going left and right are all just to keep P-Speed throughout the stage. All right, and Silver Star here is coming up on sandbar.
Ooh. Oh. Silver Star has succumbed to the top left guy curse yet again.
Oof. Don't feel too bad. He can't hear us. That trick is extremely challenging. You have to, with very little visual indication, you have to time a spin jump within a 2-frame window.
And Sten also successfully navigating through the very difficult Vob fort.
Completely flawless dark room.
And here we are at the Bowser fight.
So you may be familiar with watching these Bowser fights from different categories, but don't be fooled into thinking that just because we don't have cape, we can't do this fight fast. We're going to make use of a little bit of the strangeness of the Bowser fight, specifically how he provides Mecha Koopas in order to make this faster. So rather than hitting him with both Mecha Koopas right away, he's going to actually wait for Bowser to kick out one more. Even though he's waiting to end this cycle, holding on to that extra Mecha Koopa is going to make all the difference in the cycles going forward.
And Sten using some visual cues here for a setup to make this fight a little bit easier.
Keep a close eye on Calco in the second phase of this fight. He's actually going to specifically throw the Mecha Koopa at a point in order to skip Bowser dropping the second of his 2 bowling balls that he usually drops. It's a small time save, but it is a time save, and it's really nice if you can get it.
How many seconds is that? I think if it's an entire cycle, it could be several seconds actually.
Yeah, the ball drop animation takes a couple seconds, and then he flies around a little bit, so maybe about 3.
Okay.
But it also it's really variable because the Bowser fight is.
So you'll notice that Silver Star here is small in this Reznor fight. Those platforms can just kind of randomly warp you into the lava when you're small. So it's best if you're small in Reznor fights to take it a little bit more carefully than you might if you had a power up.
Yeah, BJW was small too, and I was worried for a second.
Okay, and we're coming up on time here for Calco.
The time ends right when the Princess Peach appears out of Bowser's clown car.
And
Time.
time. And what was the time?
34:43. That's a fantastic time.
Anything sub 35 in marathon run is very amazing.
I'm not sure. He might have beat everyone else's PB that's in the race. And time for Sten. And BJW just executing the ball skip that we talked about earlier.
Am I mistaken? Am I misremembering? Didn't Calco set the world record for No Cape, No Star World in a tournament race?
Actually, it was the community race. There were maybe 40 people racing, and it was the community race to build hype for the tournament. And his current world record was set in that race. So that's going to be an SRL race time that's going to be pretty tough to beat.
Yeah.
And we're coming up on time for BJW. Nice Bowser.
And time.
Time.
Can we get a lot of top left guy Bible thump in the chat, please?
It wasn't his fault. He didn't choose where to be on the screen.
That's true. All right, we're coming up on time here for Silver Star.
Very nice last hit.
And time.
That was an absolutely fabulous run by all of the racers.
It's a very technical category with a lot of things to react to, and they all just did fabulously. So congratulations, guys.
Very nice race.
Nice job.